Hey folks, good morning. We're on Revelation chapter 2. Today it's chapters 2 and 3 deal with a letter to each of the seven churches that were referenced in chapter 1. Each of these, not everyone, but they follow the format of giving, saying, hey, the angel of the church of, whatever, the letter is written to that angel. And it gives typically a praise that they're doing something well, and then a word of warning that they are doing something they need to change or improve, and then a prize, what they get if they do whatever it is that they're asking. So the first letter is to the church in Ephesus, and the issue with this church of Ephesus is that they have forsaken their first love. And he's challenging them to remember that from which they have fallen, to remember where they used to be. And, it's just a good reminder to all of us that many times in our faith that we tend to get complacent. We can tend to get just not as passionate as we perhaps would have been early on in our faith. And the challenge then is to remember and to live out where you were at early. The second one is to the church in Smyrna, and it's a little different format, but really challenging them to persevere through persecution. And it says, I tell you, the devil will put some of you in prison to test you, and you will suffer persecution for 10 days. So for a short season, they will suffer persecution. We don't know if it's literally 10 days or just made in a short amount of time, but they are encouraging them to persevere through the persecution. The third letter is to Pergamum, and it certainly appears that some are holding to false teaching that's going on, and just encouraging them to stay faithful and not to follow the false teaching. And the fourth letter is to Thyatira, and the positive, they're increasing in their faith and their love and their service and their perseverance. But it says some are tolerating that woman Jezebel. And again, we aren't sure who Jezebel is, but she's leading people into sexual immorality and eating food that's been sacrificed to idols. And the challenge is to withstand and continue in their faith, love, service, and perseverance. So some good letters. It's interesting to think about as we go through these letters, as we look at them, that if God wrote a letter to Salem, or God wrote a letter to your church, what would he write? And likewise, if God wrote a letter to you personally, what would he say? What would he say you're doing well? And what would be some of the areas where you would need to improve? So just some interesting things to think about as we look at these letters. So have a great day. Have a great weekend. Again, if you don't have a church home, we'd love for you to try Salem. But again, above all, that you would find a church that upholds and proclaims God's word. So have a fantastic day. Let me know, what would God write to you if he were writing a letter, or to your church? If he were writing a letter, what would be his praise to you, and what would be his words of warning to you? God bless.